Hello. Today's episode number 16 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses the 7 advantages of players' rewards clubs, plus slot machine casino gambling in the U.S. state of Idaho. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. Show notes are available within most podcast apps or at professorslots.com/E16.
John Friedel from the Professor Slots blog reveals all his tips and tricks for thriving in the casino environment. Choose winning slot machines and identify your gambling goals. Being entertained, earning comps, winning take-home cash, or combining them. John has won 90 taxable jackpots and a luxury car in 9 months of slot play and made a profit at slots gambling since 2013.
Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine gambler. Let's get started with the first segment of the show, 7 advantages of players' rewards clubs. I remember from the time I spent gambling via casino slots in 2004 how reluctant most people were then to join players' club programs. This was mostly due to privacy concerns from around that time. Since, casino gamblers have seen the benefits of and otherwise gotten used to using more common rewards cards for local businesses. These include club cards for fuel stations, grocery store chains, air travel mileage, and yes, casinos. My fellow top-tier players have been active Advantage players for more years than I. Actually, many have been Advantage players for more decades than I. In conversations with them, they have suggested that these complimentary offers of food, gifts, and trips are the actual financial reward for casino gambling, no matter which tier level you're at. In their general opinion, slot machine players typically spend all of their jackpot winnings and perhaps an additional 10% of those winnings from their own finances. So the food, gifts, and trips can become all it takes for players to break even or come out slightly ahead. I'll have to classify these individuals as having a gambling goal of complimentary gifts, but it is possible that some of them are out to make money and they consider the trips worthwhile or valuable in that regard. In any case, this is a general opinion of a handful of top-tier slots players at my local casinos, learned through casual conversations I have had with them as a fellow top-tier slots player. From my own gambling records, however, I've generally accepted 6.4% of my jackpot winnings as comps, where comps is a shorthanded way for saying complimentary gifts. The difference of 10% for other players and 6.4% for myself can likely be attributed to our having different gambling goals, as I mentioned. This is to say, somewhat frankly, I am more interested in taking money home, and they're more interested in earning complimentary gifts. In 2014, for example, the fair market value of all of my complimentary gifts, recorded for tax purposes, was $9,735. In essence, individuals have gotten used to rewards clubs. As people have begun to carry many different club cards, enterprising individuals even began to provide an app for smartphones that would allow them to put their cards on that device rather than filling up their keychain. Nowadays, there's no real barrier among slots players to having a player's reward club card for all casinos they visit. If you're visiting a casino, simply joining will likely get you some free slot play, which is a few dollars to play on slot machines, or if they're available, video poker machines. And by dollars, I do mean within the system and not actual money in your hand. Later, after you've spent some of your own money, if you choose to do so, you'll get other comps. This episode segment is about what those other rewards are and how to make the most of them, from my perspective as a top-tier slots player. As discussed in episode number 5, slots enthusiasts can have several possible gambling goals, including entertainment, earning complimentary gifts, making take-home money, or a combination of those. Whichever gambling goal you have, having a player's reward card is either a really good idea or an absolute necessity. On another note, quite a lot can be said about various aspects of players' rewards clubs for slots enthusiasts. Many of these topics are more advanced than I plan on discussing here, and will only be lightly touched upon now. In this episode, I'm introducing you to players' rewards clubs with the added goal of explaining some of the higher-end benefits. This is to be entertaining and interesting, but so you know what's possible to ultimately achieve with players' rewards clubs. After all, how can you truly decide upon what your own gambling goal is if you're not fully aware of what's possible? In this segment, I'll be presenting on the following topics. A. Making a case for players' rewards clubs. B. The casino's perspective. C. Pro tip number 1. D. The player's perspective. E. Players' rewards clubs advantages 1 through 7. F. Benefits for upper tier members. G. Pro tip number 2. H. Pro tip number 3. And I. A summary. As a final statement to this introduction, I'll be specifically calling out 3 pro tips for your attention. However, there are actually around a dozen or so pro tips included. Frankly, this segment is rich in pro tips. Let's move into the next subsection, making a case for players' rewards clubs. At the beginning of my recent gambling experience, from late 2013 onwards, I was not a fan of player club programs. I just didn't see any value in attending slots tournaments, drawings, or large dinner events in the casino ballrooms. This was even after I got a chance to meet the Temptations. Yes, I was a top-tier member of a local casino's players club program. I simply hadn't yet begun to appreciate complimentary gifts, that is to say comps, from the casino reward system. This was mostly because I didn't know what to expect from clubs, but I would soon learn to appreciate them. My naive attitude towards players' clubs changed when I learned of an upcoming promotional drawing I received from a mail flyer sent to my home. When reviewing the event details, I couldn't help but notice that I appeared to have tremendously good odds of winning. I'd learned from the mail flyer that the casino was holding a drawing to pick 10 individuals to each win $2,000 in cash and 10 individuals to win $2,000 in free slot play. Those of you already members of slots clubs will likely recognize this specific type of mail flyer. However, what spotted my eye was a specific fine print detail. It was this: drawing entries per individual would equal the individual's total number of taxable jackpots combined over the last 3 months. Given the number of entries I would receive, I drove to the casino that night for the drawing. Upon arrival, I immediately proceeded to sign in at the promotions counter. The casino employee at the promotions counter slid my club card through their computer, at which point I heard him say, in a slightly puzzled voice, 54 entries? They looked at their coworker and repeated, 54 entries? And then they looked at me and said rather loudly, 54 entries? I looked back at him and did something I'd never done before. How do I describe it? My face changed. I looked back at this promotional counter casino employee, and I kind of smiled at him. No, I smirked at him. No, I smirked at him with total confidence. That's how my face changed. That's how I felt my face change. Naturally, I won $2,000 in free slots play. About 20 minutes later, the free slots play was available through my Players Rewards account through the club card, and I proceeded to turn it into $1,980 in cash by playing slots over the next hour. That was nice. And I'll always remember feeling that new kind of smile on my face. I'll also mention that I only won once at that promotion. Turns out that was one of the rules. No, I wasn't eligible to win one of the other 19 drawings using my remaining 53 entries. Well, I thought it was worth asking. Knowing the rules is good. After joining a players club, mail flyers and other promotional offers are routinely sent to the address provided at sign-up. If your goal is to earn your way to the top or second to the top tier and you're successful in doing so, then many more and greater value comps become available. Mail flyers contain offers ranging from dinners, free slot play, small electronic gifts. For example, I recently got a very nice electric skillet. My mother loved it. Drawings to win a new luxury car, all expenses paid trips to other casino properties, including airfare, and the list goes on and on and on. These offers are basically attempting to get the recipient to come to a casino. From the casino's perspective, mail flyers from Players Rewards Clubs get more people into the casino. It's really a branch of the casino's marketing department. Marketing people know free stuff is difficult to resist, and they're right. What do casinos get from Players Clubs? Well, why do they do anything? Because in the end, they plan to make money at it. For every dozen people standing in a long line for an electric skillet is one or two individuals about to spend hundreds of dollars playing slots. And, as the casino very well knows, these individuals are only at the casino because of that promotion they received. In addition, other people in line feel more positive about the casino, and feeling more positive about a casino means they are more likely to visit again. That, too, is how a casino can eventually make more money. If these promotions didn't make money for the casino, they wouldn't have them. Frankly, they couldn't afford them. The goal of casinos is to get people into the casino through the use of Players Rewards Clubs, then simply let nature take its course. Pro tip number 1. There is another point to be made about the casino perspective before moving on to the next subsection on the player's perspective, which is this. There are a variety of promotional offers being made by the casino, but not everybody gets them. Everyone receives some promotions simply by being a member. Other promotions are not nearly so commonly offered. Whether a club member gets more than the most common promotions entirely depends on what they've done for the casino lately. Invitations to the non-common promotions have to be earned, and they have to be earned by spending money gambling. If you want as many of these non-common promotions as you can possibly get, then you need to be careful about spending money at the casino. But this pro tip is not at all about spending a lot of money. It's about not spending a lot of money. More precisely, you probably have a specific bankroll size you like to take to a casino. Whatever its size, that size is perfectly fine and not the point of discussion here. That is, assuming you can afford to lose it, which is always important. This pro tip is about going to a casino with a fraction of your usual bankroll. Don't do it. If your usual bankroll is, say, $200, then don't briefly go to the casino with a $20 bankroll. It's the same thing with having a usual $2,000 bankroll and then going occasionally to the casino with $200. Don't do it. Why? Because Players Reward Clubs partly determine which higher value, non-common promotions you will receive based on your average bankroll size. This is sometimes also referred to as the average daily theoretical. Put another way, casinos will offer you greater value promotions if you consistently visit their casino with, say, $200 than if you did by going half the time with $200 and then half the time with $20. For the best value promotions, be roughly consistent in your bankroll size on every visit. If your gambling goal is to get the complimentary gifts, avoid casino trips where you only take a fraction of your usual bankroll. That's pro tip number 1. Next up is the player's perspective. So, getting a player to a casino is the goal of that casino, and they use their Players Rewards Clubs as a branch of their marketing department to accomplish this goal. But what do players get in return? What are the advantages provided by Players Rewards Clubs? In many ways, it comes down to convenience for the player, plus adding an additional 10% to your winnings. Let's not forget that. What follows are 7 advantages of Players Rewards Clubs, each of which I'll go into detail about in the next subsections. Here's the list. 1. Free slot play. 2. Shorter service lines. 3. Complimentary gifts. 4. Slots tournaments. 5. Free travel. 6. hosts, and 7, events. I encourage players to use the promotional coupons provided by the casino whenever possible, as they are part of the rewards for playing. However, I caution players to play on their own terms. If the coupons are not valuable to them, either directly or as a gift to others, then there is no point in spending time that could be used more productively. Finally, remember that gifts from the casino are considered taxable income. The IRS requires you to report each gift's free market value on your annual income tax returns. Players Rewards Club Advantage number 1, free slot play. Free slot play is usually the first gift received from a casino after signing up for the Players Rewards Club program. It's quickly already onto the card and therefore immediately available. After selecting a specific slot machine to play, you'll need to work through the touchscreen options to apply that slot play. Simply go through the various options available on the Players Club interface on the slot machine. Remember, you can't simply press the Cash Out button to withdraw the free slot play. You can withdraw any winnings made by betting the free slot play, but the free slot play itself must remain in the machine until spent, or, nowadays, goes back onto your Players Reward Club account if you pull your player's card from the slot machine. As a member of most Players Clubs, you'll receive mail flyers and email flyers. At some point, as your daily spend increases, you'll move up to earning a monthly booklet with non-common promotional coupons. This can sometimes be hard to notice alongside all the mail flyers for promotional events to the casino, but watch for it. It usually has more free slot play, good for certain days or weeks. How much weekly free slot play you get will depend on your tier level and how much you play. Remember to stay focused on your gambling goals. Don't feel pushed to advance in tier levels if it is not part of your goals for playing casino slots. Non-regular free slot play can be won at various casino promotions as well. If you are interested in winning this free slot play, watch your promotional mail flyers and make certain selections. I'll say go to all of them, but I've found there's just too many of them. Choose, pick, decide. All free slot play is time dependent. Regular slot play from a coupon booklet is only good on certain days, sometimes certain times of certain days of the week. Non-regular slot play won at a promotion can take as long as an hour to get loaded into the system, and may only be available within the player's reward account for a month or less. Don't make the mistake I have of just assuming it'll be there weeks after you won it. Players Reward Club Advantage number 2, shorter service lines. The lowest tier of Players Rewards Clubs have long lines when there are a lot of people visiting the casino. These service lines are at cashier cages, promotional counters, restaurants, and during events. Have you ever noticed that there are also much shorter lines next to them? These shorter lines are for player club members not in the lowest tier of the Players Rewards Club program. Shorter lines are the number 2 advantage of Player Rewards Clubs, as they are extremely convenient. Here's how they work. The person at the head of a lower tier line goes first if there is nobody waiting in a higher tier line. If someone is there waiting for service, they go first. Furthermore, some promotional events have the same situation, but this can be harder to notice. I love using these shorter service lines. Well, I do now. When I first started using them, when I moved out of the lowermost tier level of the Players Rewards Club, using them actually made me feel very self-conscious. Why? Because of the stares from people in the other lines from lower tier players. I remember one time in early 2014 of walking up to the promotional counter area to receive a free gas card. I was the only person in the top tier Players Rewards Club line, and many people were waiting in the other lines. All the counters are servicing them, and I hear the counter attendants giving out gas cards. Here's your $25 gift card, sir. Here's your $35 gift card, ma'am. Once someone behind the promotions counter became available, she waved me over. All this time, everybody's watching me. Their curious eyes followed me to the counter. The attendant takes my player's card and ID, checks the reward system, and counts out 5 $25 gift cards, somewhat loudly. Remember those curious eyes I was telling you about? I could feel them all narrowing at me. I'm telling you, those eyes were like daggers in my back. I left and nobody followed me. I guess they didn't want to lose their place in line. Players Rewards Club Advantage number 3, complimentary gifts. Casino employees in charge of Player Rewards Club promotional events try to make complimentary gifts interesting. These comps can be just about anything from free alcoholic drinks to free trips. Personally, I especially like having dinners with 45-day aged steaks. Also, casino buffets are often the best buffets you'll find anywhere. Sometimes the comps can be quite innovative when done right, in part to avoid too much repetition. For example, as already mentioned, I've gotten gas cards. This was at a time when fuel prices were quite high. Those gas cards were very popular when I gifted them later to various family members. So some comps make great gifts to friends and family, as the careful thought the casino players clubs put into coming up with these great ideas also makes them into wonderful regifting ideas. Remember that these gifts are taxable income. Again, the IRS requires you note each gift's free market value for reporting this income on your annual income tax forms. Players Rewards Club Advantage number 4, slots tournaments. Many of the mail flyers received from casinos as a member of their Players Rewards Club program will be invitations to slots tournaments. For us slots enthusiasts, I've placed this advantage as number 4 on this list because, well, this way we get to play slots for free. New casino operating systems now include a much more efficient ability to run slots tournaments, so everything goes smoothly for the many participants. Once, slots tournaments were quite difficult for casinos to administer. A lot could, and often did, go wrong. With better operating software, however, it's become much easier for casinos to offer them as well as to successfully pull them off. To participate in slots tournaments you've been invited to via a mail flyer, you basically need to visit the casino, check in at the tournament or promotional counter, and receive a ticket with a specific time to participate in the tournament. The scheduled rounds are usually 10 to 15 minutes apart, with actual play time around 2 to 3 minutes. All slots tournaments used to have rounds that were at least 3 minutes long, sometimes longer, but that's slowly been reducing to help process more players faster. For the casino, this is something of a balance of activities. Players can get a bit grumpy if they have to wait too long, especially when their designated time to participate comes and goes, and the tournament rounds have fallen behind. On the other hand, having players wandering around the casino waiting their turn is really the point of the whole tournament for the casino. That's what actually pays for the slots tournament. Anyway, the slots tournament will be held at a carousel, a grouping of slot machines, all having the same game theme. It's usually located in a roped-off area somewhere on the main floor. Just before your designated round, find your way to the slots tournament. Arrive a bit early if you want to watch how the game theme is played. There will be no advanced practice once the tournament starts. Once there, the organizer will collect your ticket and assign a specific seat for you in the front of a slot machine. By the way, slots tournaments are all performed on video slot machines. It is likely your first name and first initial of your last name will be displayed on the slot machine screen assigned to you. Once everyone in your group has been seated, you'll play your machine free of charge as quickly as humanly possible along with everyone else. Sometimes the special game themes used in slots tournaments will require pressing 2 buttons. The first button is to play the game, and the second will be touching the screen to earn additional points. I've seen balloons or bubbles floating across the touch screen, and popping them earns additional game points. It all depends on the particular game theme being used. After your group's round is completed, look for a large screen showing the final point ranking within your group. If your score is high enough, you go on to another round. However, your score will have to be in, say, the top 100 amongst all the first attempt rounds in order to go on to the next rounds. Getting all the participants through one round can take half a day or even a whole day. The second round could be that same evening or even the next day, if there are a lot of participants. Sometimes a third round is actually necessary. although sometimes this is the final portion of the slots tournament, which is almost a game show. In the very last round, the 10 winners or so that make it through all the previous rounds either open briefcases or reach into a container of their choice to see what they win. Most of the winning prizes is slot play, but there can be cash prizes as well. Players Rewards Club Advantage number 5. Even lowest tier members of Players Rewards Clubs will get offers for free travel to other casinos. These casinos are usually sister properties of the casino operator. Those other properties often, but not always, have the same Players Rewards Club program. Some offers are to stay at the original casino visited, although casinos have started to check the address provided to Players Rewards Clubs to see if the player is actually local. However, most offers will be to another casino and may include travel and hotel accommodations. Some of these other casinos can be nearby, where the travel offer is actually an evening's bus trip to a nearby casino property. Other offers will require someone, either yourself or more likely the casino, paying for airfare. Other travel offers will be for a free cruise. These are very popular and quite common. Check the brochure of your Players Club program, or perhaps its website, to see if a free cruise is something to ever expect. Most trips are a +1 guest situation. This is a great advantage play. If both you and your spouse or friend each get a free trip, due to both of you having the same tier level, consider taking another couple with you as your guests. If you happen to be single and you like to cruise on a ship at sea, then you are in luck. I highly recommend taking the cruise if you are at all interested. Why? Because many normal vacation cruises have a minimum 2-person stateroom requirement. Even if traveling alone, the room fees for a second individual has to be paid for. This is sometimes called a double occupancy tax. So a single individual normally has to pay for a second individual when traveling alone. But this extra fee doesn't occur with free cruises from the casino. Players Rewards Club Advantage number 6. Hosts. Casinos have employees whose specific job it is to be host to some players. These are hosts for higher tier members of Players Rewards Clubs. Hosts can be personally approached to provide comps. In fact, they are very good at approaching you first. However, be aware that the more valuable the request, the greater the required tier status and recent amount of play. Hosts have to turn away a lot of people because some requests exceed that player's status and recent play. However, players can be very persuasive or very insistent. I've seen some rather difficult to watch conversations between players and hosts. I mention this deliberately difficult player-host conversations because casinos have found a solution to completely avoiding them. In only the last few years, Players Rewards Clubs have started adding kiosks to provide customer service. It's hard to argue with a kiosk. Hence, careful persuasions or arguing by players has become limited by this player-machine interface. With this new technology, comps formerly always requested via hosts are now done through this player-machine interface. The machine checks the player's gameplay and tier status and then provides what the player is eligible for. But even with new updates to casino operating software, casinos still have hosts. There is often a host station or office not too far from the casino's high-limit area. You can try to check with these hosts for any casino issues, questions, or to attempt to request comps, but having a higher tier status within the Players Rewards Club may be necessary. Players Rewards Club Advantage number 7. Events. So many invitations, so little time. When I first started getting these offers, I tried to attend every event, whether it was a tournament, dinner, drawing, or other interesting promotion. Be sure to make a serious attempt to understand the gifts and promotions provided due to specific tier status in the Players Club offered by the casino. Given a normal busy life, it can be difficult to attend every event or promotion. Attending every event can quickly become exhausting, so pick and choose carefully only those events which are best for you. Remember to pace yourself. To organize the many offers from Players Clubs, I suggest making lists. I'm a big fan of lists as they help break down large, complicated projects into small, manageable pieces. Make lists of the available events, perhaps even noting them on a personal event calendar. Benefits for upper tier members. Lower tier levels will have a minimum amount of convenience offered by the casino, but as higher tiers are earned, this convenience will increase until it all gets a bit extreme. At least it seemed that way to me. Here are some of the complementary extremes for top-tier players. Free slots play. There's usually a maximum amount of slots play that can be earned per week. I've gotten as high as $250 twice a week for 6 months straight. This was the maximum amount offered at the time by that Players Rewards Club. Shortest service lines. Most often, there's usually nobody else in the short line, no matter how many are in the other tier lines. As mentioned, the eyes of the people in the lower tier status follow you. Complimentary gifts. Frankly, I hope you have a spare room where you live for all the free stuff. They make great holiday regifts, or maybe try selling some of them on eBay. Slots tournaments. Nah. Frankly, I don't care for slots tournaments because I'm being told where to sit and when to press the button, which means I don't get to pick the best casino, the best slot machines, the best times to play that slot machine. I don't get to, win. Free travel. Top tiers generally get a 7-day cruise, although airfare isn't usually included. Plus, a 3-night annual trip to a related Las Vegas casino property is usual, with airfare included. And a $500 room credit. And 8 $100 vouchers. And more. Did I mention the limousine? Second to top tier players get a 3-day cruise and a few less extras for their annual Las Vegas trip. Hosts. Top tier players have a host show up about 30 seconds after they put their player's card into a slot machine. Every single time. And they really want to help you. They mean this sincerely. Now, what do you want? Events. Invites to everything, and always front row seating. Next up is pro tip number 2. As a top-tier member attending casino promotions, make sure to ask a casino employee if it's okay to go to the head of any promotional line. You would be surprised how often they'll say yes. They really want to help you. Also, arrive early at the promotion, as you can often go in advance of most others. Pro tip number 3. If you are a top tier or second to the top tier player in a Players Rewards Club, be sure to mention that status when signing up to a new Players Rewards Club at another casino property. Other Players Clubs will partially honor other Players Club programs, so remember to bring your other top tier Players Club cards. To be clear, new Players Rewards Club programs will often provide a provisional tier status for top-tier players from another Players Club. The tier provided, typically one tier less than that of the other top-tier Players Rewards Club, will expire if a certain amount of credits aren't earned over a period of several months. In summary, casinos give away free stuff to members of their Players Rewards Clubs. Free slot play, shorter lines, comps, travel, hosts, events, and more. The higher the tier level status in the Players Rewards Club, and the higher the amount of recent play, the higher value and more frequent to you this free stuff will be. But the question must always be, is this specific free thing anything you want? Stay focused on your gambling goals, entertainment, comps, making money, etc. Players Rewards Clubs can support each of these goals if you use them that way. For each gambling goal, here's how having a Players Rewards Club membership can help. Entertainment. Player club events can provide a lot of casino entertainment that doesn't involve gambling. Such promotional events are often highly entertaining. Earning complimentary gifts. If your gambling goal is to earn complimentary gifts, then player clubs are an absolute necessity. Otherwise, you don't get any comps. Take-home money. Free slot play is a good way to turn credits into cash. Also, focus on turning a profit by selling these comps or saving money by regifting them. As always, my call to action is remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Show notes for this episode are now available within most podcast apps, but are also available on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/E16. Up next in the second segment of the show, Idaho slot machine casino gambling. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Show notes for this episode are now available within most podcast apps, but are also available on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/E16. Up next is the second segment of the show, Idaho slot machine casino gambling. In this episode segment, I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, U.S. territory, or U.S. federal district, emphasizing, by far, anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Each state-by-state episode segment can be expected to include an introduction, relevant legal statutes on gambling, if any, slot machine private ownership, state gaming commission, if any, gambling establishments, if any, and a summary. Here goes. Idaho slot machine casino gambling currently consists of 7 tribal casinos, each of which offers video games such as electronic pull tab and slot-like bingo machines. Some of these casinos also offer video poker, video keno, video roulette, and electronic blackjack table games. In addition, there are another 9 licensed simulcast pari-mutuel racing facilities available for off-track betting. One of these is the only commercial track within the state. With its distinctive shape, Idaho forms part of the U.S. Pacific Northwest region, sharing a small border with Canada. The state's capital and largest city is Boise. Major Idaho airports include the Boise Airport, BOI, serving southwestern Idaho, and Spokane International Airport, GEG, serving the northern region from nearby Spokane, Washington. Several regional airports also exist within Idaho. In Idaho, the minimum legal age limit for gambling is 18. Pari-mutuel horse racing was legalized in the state in 1964, immediately making existing racetracks legal and allowing additional racetracks to be opened in the same year. Online horse betting became legal in mid-2014, allowing historic horse race betting or instant racing machines. The state adopted criminal and constitutional prohibitions against all forms of Class III gaming, except pari-mutuel betting and a state lottery. As you may recall from the last podcast episode, Class III gaming includes poker, craps, blackjack, roulette, and of course slot machines, as well as all the other Las Vegas casino-style games. This state action was challenged by Idaho's Native American tribe, and even taken to federal district court. Ultimately, the state drafted a proposed constitutional amendment changing its gaming laws, allowing state tribal compacts to allow the Class III games currently available at tribal casinos. Up next is a relatively short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. It is legal to privately own slot machines if manufactured before 1950. In place of a state gaming commission, a state tribal compact exists between the Idaho state government and the Native American tribal casinos located within the state. One important term of Idaho state tribal compacts is a minimum payback return percentage of the machines to the public is not required. Without a legal minimum requirement, tribal casinos in Idaho are legally free to set the payback return to as low as they wish. In this next subsection, I'll discuss Idaho gambling establishments. All Idaho casinos are open 24 hours. The maximum bet is $50. The largest casino in Idaho is Coeur d'Alene Casino Resort Hotel with 1,600 gaming machines in Wortley, Idaho. Its website is www.cdacasino.com. The second largest is Fort Hall Casino and Hotel in Fort Hall, Idaho. Its website is www.shobangaming.com. The other tribal casinos in Idaho are Bannock Peak Casino in Pocatello, Clearwater River Casino and Lodge in Lewiston, Itsiyi Casino in Kamaya, Kootenai River Inn Casino and Spa in Bonners Ferry, and Sage Hill Travel Center and Casino in Blackfoot. The electronic gaming machines at each tribal casino uses vouchers as payout, which must be cashed by a casino attendant or at the cashier's cage. Les Boys Park in Boise is the single commercial track with parimutuel wagering. In summary, Idaho slot machine casino gambling currently consists of 7 tribal casinos, each of which offers video games such as electronic pull tab and slot-like bingo machines. Some of these casinos also offer video poker, video keno, video roulette, and electronic blackjack table games. Also, the electronic gaming machines at each tribal casino uses vouchers as payout. Finally, the existing state tribal compact does not require a minimum payout percentage to the public when gambling at a tribal casino in Idaho. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of Professor Slots Podcast is International Games Technology, PLC, one of the big manufacturers of slot machines in the world. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots Podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or federal district. This time, I'll be talking to you about the U.S. state of Illinois. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode could be found within most podcast apps or at ProfessorSlots.com/E16. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Please subscribe to and review the show. That would help so much. To do so, simply use your podcast app, visit ProfessorSlots.com/Apple Podcasts if you're an Apple device user, or visit ProfessorSlots.com/Android for Android users. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.